Hi, everybody. Welcome to Happy Paper People Monday Jumpstart. I am so excited to be here. It is Monday. So it's Monday Jumpstart, one of my favorite days of the week because I get to spend it with you. If you are new to Happy Paper People, welcome aboard. We meet every Monday at noon Mountain Time for Monday Jumpstart. Always a fun time hanging out with each other. We also have Happy Paper People Facebook group that we invite you to join. It is a private group so that we can keep it a safe place for everyone to share their creations, ask their questions, teach, learn. It's just the most amazing group of people. As you will see in chat here, if you are here with us today, and I am in chat with you today, so I'm excited about that. I normally don't get to sit in chat with you while watching a Monday Jumpstart. So doing that today. So I'm excited today because I found a new tip for myself that works really well for something that I like a lot, but it needed a tweak. So I have lots of scraps, and I have been sorting my scraps recently and into a different organizational system, which I will share with you as soon as I get it done. It's a takeoff of something that Kathleen Maurer does, and just kind of making it to suit me more. But I think that's the best way: is watch lots of people, see how they do things, take the bits and pieces from everybody that work for you, put them together to make your own systems. That's always the best, something that works for you specifically. But while I've been sorting scraps, I'm realizing that I have tons and tons and tons of scraps of all size, from little bitty things like some of these sitting right here to some medium size here to great big scraps. I just have lots. So once I get them all sorted, it'll make it easier to know the type and size that I have to go to. But after sorting for a while, I got tired of sorting and wanted to create a bit. And so I literally reached into the bag of scraps that I have been stuffing them in and am now sorting from. And I grabbed a handful of scraps, and here is the handful of scraps right here, other than what I've already used. Grabbed a handful of scraps and went to my desk, and then literally just gathered everything together that's on my desk. There were lots of little bits and pieces here and there from projects, some tickets. These are some really cool handmade tickets that Casey gave us at retreat. We just finished retreat a week ago. Not even a week ago. It was last Wednesday, the day this premieres. And look, Casey made these too. Handmade tickets. They look amazing, and they're so fun to work with. So I immediately jumped in and played with one of those as well. So I've got tickets of all kinds sitting here. I've got some words. I've got little things that have been fussy cut out or need to be fussy cut out. I got buttons. I got little focal points. There's a lot of little bitty pieces from mixed media, little good grungy bits that come off the gel plate. Got a bunch of those. Here's some amazing little labels that came off of some apples that we bought. And they're just the cutest little labels. Hopefully that'll focus. That is not focusing really well. Let me see if I can get close enough to get it to focus. There we go. Look at that cute little bee, sugar bee. They were sugar bee apples. They're adorable. So, of course, I had to peel off some of those labels and keep those. Got some little bits here. Some little offcuts of fibers here. There's some stickers inside that tin. There's some flat back pearls that are black. Some resin owls were sitting around here. And this one, I didn't even sort through yet. This one's just full of all kinds of little bits and pieces. I can tell there's some words. There's some old tape. There's there's a puzzle piece, just kind of stuff. Here's some more offcuts of lace that's sitting here. So I gathered that all up in all the little containers that were sitting on my desk and just set them all around. That's what they are here. And then I decided to create with the scraps and only use scraps. And what I'm trying to do is use scraps and scraps of stuff that's sitting on my desk to use it up. I've got some sari silk over here that hangs out right near my desk. So if I need to cut some of that off, if I just can't find a scrap of fiber here, that would work. So one of the things we all like to make, I know I've seen tons of them, and I love the variety that we get from everyone, is the hidden paper clip. I do really enjoy the hidden paper clip because we get to use up a lot of little bits and pieces, and they're just fun because every single one of them is like a piece of art. Every single one of them is different. Let's see, I'm going to put that one in a different category for a second. I want to show you a few. These are just ones I made from scraps. There was some paste that had been pulled off of a stencil, and just put a little bit of ink and stuff on it, and lots of fun. Now, these are great, and I love making them. However, there's one thing about them that bothers me. It always has, and it shouldn't, but it does. And that is if I make them in the style that I'm going to do today, that I'm going to show you today, and there are lots of different ways to do hidden paper clips. So this is not the only way. It's not the only way we've done here on Happy Paper People either. There are videos of other ways. But I like this way because it is quick, it is easy, and it's an easy way to use things up fast. It is also, I think it's just the quickest way. However, when I do, well, let me show you. First of all, we're going to find a scrap of paper. I do like my base paper to be kind of thick, maybe a cardstock. Cardstock is always nice because that gives you a good strong base that you're going to then decorate and build on. So let's find something that would make be a decent size. Okay, that's pretty orange, but that could work. And it's a nice heavy cardstock. So if I fold that in half, and I can decide how wide I want it to be. This is not very long once I folded it in half. So I might even cut that in half and make two tiny ones. I could make it a little wider and make one, and then have a teeny tiny one. But I think it's almost big enough. Let's see what it is. It's 3 inches. So if I go 1.5 inches, I just put it at 1.5 inches. Now I've got 2 small ones. Okay, so then what I do, and I'm going to use, I just grabbed some paper clips. I'll probably use the metal ones, the non-covered or non-coated ones until I run out of those, and then I'll grab the coated ones. I'm going to use the smaller paper clips on this because they are not very wide and they're also not very tall. So put the paper clip on the top here. Okay, ready to go. And then the quick and easy way is then to take a second piece of paper, and that could be anything. Like this little strip right here is kind of perfect because it actually came off out of the same paper pack. So that orange matches really nicely, a peach color, whatever that is. So I can take that, and if I fold that in half, I could decide, which doesn't really matter, but I can decide later which I want to be front, which I want to be back. And I can put this over the top, and that covers the paper clip. And then I can proceed to decorate it. Okay, so like any of these, some strip over you see it on the back. Sometimes they're a wide strip, sometimes they're a thin strip. It doesn't really matter. I just want it to cover that paper clip. And you can decorate the back too. It can be double-sided paper clip because in most of our journals, you can see both sides. So then I would glue that down there and then proceed to decorate. Okay, so maybe you can already see what it is that bugs me. It bugs me every time I do this. And that is that when I put this on here, it doesn't matter how tight I push this down, there is a gap. If I push one side down, there's a gap on the other side. If I push this side down, there's going to be a gap on this side. And that is because the paper clip is sticking up above the paper. We're really having trouble focusing today. The paper clip is sticking up above the paper. And so it's kind of acting as, what is that, a fulcrum? That point where the teeter-totter goes one way or the other. And so it can't be down on both sides. So you'll see one side is up a little bit on every one of these. Probably doesn't matter and probably doesn't bug you. You're probably a little more advanced in that theory than I am, but it does bug me. So as I was making these, I thought, all right, how can I make this so that it doesn't do that? So it doesn't bug me every time I make it. And I might want to make more because it does bug me. So I think I figured out how to make them perfectly flat. Here's, ooh, don't tip that one over. Here are some, I started decorating this one and that one. And here's just a couple of bases. But you can see that they're perfectly flat across the top. And it was super easy. And you don't have to do it if it doesn't bug you. But if it bugs you like it bugs me, here's what I did. I took a standard hole punch, just a regular hole punch. I went to the top and I punched a half a hole. Try to get it centered. If it's not exactly centered, it really doesn't matter because the paper clip's still going to work. Okay, so I punched a half a hole in the center. And then, I know there was another, there we go, another paper clip there. When I put that paper clip in, it will slide down right into that hole. And now my top is perfectly flat, perfectly straight. And I no longer have the bump to deal with of the paper clip sitting up above it. Phew. That for me was a game changer because, as I said, it just bugs me that it sits up there. I got that one a little bit deep. It doesn't need to be that deep. Just a half of that circle would be just fine. It doesn't even have to go all the way down into it, but it can. You can put it part way up. It doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom of that. It's just enough to get the top of the paper clip below the top of your paper. So then when I took this piece and glued it on, now it will glue flat across the top. That made me happy. So if that bugs you like it does me, there we go. So I am going to today just attempt to use only the scraps that are on my desk. And I'm going to put some glue right down in that center because I do want it to glue down flat right on the top. So I'm just going to stick that in there, make sure that the top is on nice and flat. Because it's still not going to be perfectly flat on the two sides because of the paper clip sticking out. So for me, I just want to make sure it's flat on the top first. That's most important because I don't like that little bump. I don't know why it bugs me. It just does. So there we go. Now I glue that down. And, you know, usually you have to kind of form the paper around the paper clip to get it to lay down and to glue. I might not have gotten glue all the way to the corners. Instead of just getting glue down the middle, probably should just go around the outside edge because that's all that really matters. The thicker the paper is that you put over the top, the more you have to kind of form it around the paper clip to bring it down. And I'm not going to worry about that because as I decorate it, I can cover that and not see the form of the paper clip there. However, know that if you use a thinner paper on the top, that it will form easier and it will not be as stiff. So then either side works as your front or back, and you can decorate both sides because we all know that we can see both sides in the journal typically. This one looks to me like it needs to be rounded just because they're roses and they're kind of soft, so soft corners. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one at the same time. So this works no matter what the size of paper clip you're working with. So let's find a larger piece of paper and maybe even a solid color. I know there were some solid pieces in here. It's on the back of this. More of that same. Ooh, that's pretty. Could use that. I'm going to end up using all of these, so it probably doesn't matter which one I start with. So if I'm going to use, that's a larger paper clip, standard, these are what I think these are called large. They're not those jumbo. And then the smaller ones, we know that there's little itty bitty ones too. So first of all, I can just look at how long do I want this paper clip to be. And however long I want it to be, that's where I fold it. And if there's a little bit off cut, that's okay, because let's see, if I fold it there, that just feels maybe a little bit too long for me. So I'm going to do it about right here. I can cut those little bits off and use those to decorate as well. So let's first make it even across the bottom. I love using up scraps. It feels good to use up scraps when you've got a ton of them around. And I think the hidden paper clips are one of the fastest ways to use up a bunch. And so are snippet strips and snippet rolls and things like that. We'll do some of those in the future too. How wide is this? 4-inch. So I'm just going to cut it right in half and make two 2-inch paper clips. That's a decent size. That looks like snow on the bottom. I decorated those for Christmas. And all right, so I need a half a hole, just a half a hole, actually just a little bit, not even a, see, I went a little too deep too deep. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that deep is my point, but I keep saying too deep. It's not too deep. It's just deeper than is needed. So that one's not quite as deep. All it needs is enough place for this to slide in to that spot there. And that standard paper punch hole puncher works no matter what size paper clip you're working with. So even these larger paper clips, they will see they're larger than the hole. That's wider. It's wider than that hole is, but when you push it down in it, it doesn't even matter because they go right down in it. So there we go. So we take 2 of those. So if I'm going to batch make, which is kind of what I'm doing today, then for me, and most of you have heard me say this, there's a difference in my mind, there's a difference between batch making and mass making. And I hear a lot of you say, I don't like to mass make because I like to make each one specific for the journal or the project that I'm working on. And I get that. I like them to be customized for the project I'm working on as well. And that's the part of mass making that does not appeal to me if they're all exactly the same. But a lot of people that mass make don't make them all exactly the same. And to me, that is batch making. I'm going to batch make lots of paper clips, lots of hidden paper clips, but no 2 of them are going to be alike. So I'm not mass making anything. I'm batch making a ton of paper clips, but they're all going to be different. So the first thing I can do is run through and make a whole bunch of bases like this, all different sizes, all different shapes. It just depends on how big of scraps I have, but I can make big ones, make little ones, do these, and then I can go back. And the second step would be then gluing this piece over the top. And we can look at a couple of different ways to do those. Like this one, I like this brick piece. And if I put it at an angle, it just made not only cool textural change between the dots and the brick, but also gave it some dimension. And so it's already a design point, and all I've done is put that one piece over the top. Same thing here. It's just a different piece over the top. So don't think that a piece of paper has to be put on straight like this. You can also choose to round the corners before you do. It's got a tiny little pocket and a button, some scrap of sari silk, and a little jar with a dragonfly down there. Here's another one where scrap of paper, and then this was another scrap. I've got some more of that in here somewhere, a scrap that had been cut at an angle like that. So already cut at an angle like that, just use that to go over it like that kind of thing. So it came down to a point there. This is like this torn off and just flipped it over, to add a little bit of contrast there. And a wax seal. The wax seal happened to be sitting on my desk. I've got a whole bunch of them next to my desk. I'm going to try to use what's on my desk first. So the back also gets some decoration, even though it's not fully decorated, but it does have some decoration just by virtue of the paper that went over the top. So again, you can do those however you like. So these are all bases ready to go. This one is using Casey's tickets. A couple of these tickets that he gave us, just folded them in half. They're already perforated to tear. So 2 in front, 2 in back. made that perfect, ready to go. I haven't decided if I want to round those corners or not, and I can always decide that later. I had a really old label off something, so grabbed a scrap of sari silk that was sitting here and just stuck those down together, kind of complemented his really old looking labels, or I'm sorry, tickets there. So I'm going to kind of put these in two groupings. These are mostly done. These have the paper over the top. These do not. So I can batch a whole bunch like this, and then I can go back and put the paper over the top. Then I can just go through, pick through all the little embellishments and pick and choose and just decorate them. So I could choose either side. I really like that purple side. So let's see. A scrap of paper looks really big until you fold it in half, and then it's not all that big, because you're thinking, well, that is really big, but then you fold it in half, and if this is a size you like of paper clips, that big piece isn't even that long. So this one is 5 inches wide. So if I go 2.5, that's going to be pretty darn wide. So I'm thinking I will go just shy of 2, and I'll get like 3 out of this one. They won't be the same size. And again, that doesn't matter to me because I'm not trying to mass make, batch making. So if everyone is a slightly different size, that's okay too. And sometimes I'll use the little scraps and make some little tiny ones, because when we make those little teeny tiny books, how do you decorate them if you don't have any little teeny tiny, things to decorate with? So we need some tinies. Here's a whole bunch of tiny books right here, but we need some tiny little hidden paper clips. So sometimes this size paper clip will work, and sometimes we need to dig out those teeny tiny Tim Holtz or other brand little tiny paper clips and make some teeny weenies. So just going to chop some holes right here. And let's see how many I have. If I've got about 10, let's get a paper clip in each of these. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. We have missed you while at retreat. We have missed having Monday Jumpstart. We typically do the Monday Jumpstart during retreat week. We typically do that on Saturday and do it live from retreat, and all the retreaters participate. And it's a really super fun activity. We had some internet issues at our venue, and we didn't have internet on Saturday or until Saturday. I think it was Saturday night or Sunday. It might have even been Sunday before we got the internet fixed. So we were not able to do that one. So I know I really missed it. Several of the retreaters said that they really missed doing that. And I know those of you who are used to watching it really missed seeing it as well. 3, 6, 9. Okay, so I've got 9 there. Let me go ahead then and start covering them and look at some different options of how we can cover them. So Spring 2025 retreat is in the books, and we are not having a Fall 2025 retreat. We are going to take some time off in the fall. I'm looking for new venues. So we won't be going back to the same location that we were at, but I am looking for new space and need a little bit of time to do that. Not only does it take time to do that, but then everybody needs a little bit of time to be able to organize and plan, their funds. So now this one was just embossed, and it's interesting. It didn't completely come out, but part of it could be used across the top of something like this, and that might be really fun. And doesn't even need to be, let's see here. What I'm thinking, if I want that to come down the middle, I would fold it so the embellishment itself meets. I'm not going to worry about this up here. I can ink it. I can put something over it, whatever, later. If it, that little bit that's popping up because of the deep embossing, and the center of the core is white, obviously, of this paper. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cut it off Let's see if that's enough. And I can just keep cutting until it's a size that I like. There's no right or wrong on this. This is just a size that you like. And I think I will round the corners on this. Not super thick paper, so I could do those together. And again, if this paper that you use over the top, if you use a scrapbook paper or something that is not super heavy, a really light cardstock, it's much easier to work with, and it's easier to get this down tight if you don't like those little gaps that I was talking about at the beginning. Okay, I like that. I like that contrast with the black and the gray, and I like the texture that's on it. So let's try that. I'm going to put some glue right down the middle, and then make sure I just go around the 4 edges. So that'll go down around that paper clip. There are so many different ways to make altered paper clips. And if I've got a ton of scraps and I'm feeling like, man, I need to use some of these up, I really like the fast ways. And I am completely out of altered paper clips for journals, so it's perfect timing as far as that goes. Perfect timing for me to need to make some more. So I can cut out a ton of these bases and then, put some things over the top and have a huge varieties of color, varieties of size, varieties of design, even theme or style. Let's see here. Ooh, this would be pretty. Would be pretty on this. See. Doesn't need to be. How wide is that? If that is 2 1/4, this could be 2 or less than 2 even. I don't want it to cover that much, actually, because I like that gray and the design underneath it. So I am going to fold it first to see how thin I want it to be. But I want to fold it first to see how long I want it. I want it to go to the end of the paper clip. Now, remember, you can use a large paper clip on a small one, or vice versa. The thing to keep in mind about the paper clip, choosing the size, is the longer the paper clip, the bigger that paper clip is. When you go to put it over a book page, you've got longer paper clip there to get hold of. So if you have a really short paper clip on a long paper, it is a little more difficult to get onto the page and to have it stay kind of where you like it. But you could use a long paper clip on a small piece of paper and have it go all the way down to the bottom, which gives it a whole lot more stability. Okay, I don't want it quite that wide. I'm looking at the other side, and the other side is cut off, which doesn't bother me at all because that can add cool texture. But I do want to make it not quite so wide. So I'm going to, let's see, kind of think about, I really like the gray with the pattern, the gray and white pattern underneath it. So I don't want to cut off or cover up a whole bunch of that. So I'm actually cut off quite a bit there to make it a lot thinner because I want that gray and white to show underneath it. And either side could be the front or back. This little corner is the very corner of that part that was cut off. If I happen to round these corners, probably round right around that, and you wouldn't even know that it was once an offcut at a weird angle. I think I like this one in front, and that leaves a really nice pattern in the back. I don't feel like I need to decorate the back because it actually has a nice focal point right there. So I'll go this way. So I'm going to ask a question here, and let's see, in chat, how many different ways have you made altered paper, not altered paper clips, hidden paper clips? I guess those are altered paper clips. I guess that's one and the same. How many different ways have you made hidden or altered paper clips? Because you can alter a paper clip and still have the paper clip showing, have some things on the front that becomes the front of the paper clip, and that's okay too. These are definitely specifically supposed to be hidden paper clips, but there are a lot of different ways to make hidden paper clips. So how many different ways? This is one way. How many different ways have you made hidden paper clips? And I want to ask, which is your favorite way and why? That's going to be kind of hard to explain in chat. So then I will ask if you will go to the Facebook group and post a picture of which is your favorite way to make the altered paper clips and why. Because I like these because they're really fast and they use up quite a bit of scraps, and they're fast. You might have another variation that you like to make for a different reason, and I would like to learn that. So if you will go to the Facebook group and post a picture of your favorite way to make altered paper clips and tell us why it's your favorite. If there's a reason, maybe you just like the way they look. That's a good enough reason for me. I would love to see them. Love to see them. We've got some purples here. So I'm going to pull these out just so I can see what colors we are kind of coordinating with in our scraps. And, you know, there's no guarantee that this handful of scraps is going to have paper that will work with all of these. So we'll do what we can with what we pulled here. And when we've done everything, if we need to go grab another handful of scraps, we can do that as well. I do like, that might work. I do like, you know, just really trying to use up, work on that, the scraps that are right here. Sometimes we wouldn't automatically think about one thing going with something else. But if you think of it from the perspective of, this is all I've got to work with, I've got to figure out how it will best work. There's a good one. It's got lots and lots of different types of paper looking that will go with a lot of these. It seems like if that's all we have, we can find a way to make it work, right? Sometimes the more things I have to choose from, the more difficult it is to make something. I only have a few things to choose from. You know, there's not that many things to choose from, so I got to pick something. That might be my own difficulty in making those decisions, those design decisions. All right, I really like this piece. There's some writing on here, and it goes this way. So chunk. And one side is going to be upside down. I really wanted that on the front, but that's on the front. It won't go over the top unless I just did it like that and then put another piece on the back, which you can do. You can do anything you want. I could also do that, let that button go to the back, and that would be a nice focal point for the back. So let's see if I fold this in half. It's going to be long enough to go over that paper clip. That's what's important. That'll work. I think I'm going to round the corners, probably round the corners of the whole thing as well. Let's see, that's really cute. And the front, or the back side is really cute too with that button. So I think I'll leave that. I'll put the words and stuff up front. I'll leave the button to be the back. Makes a nice focal point. And then I won't, as long as there's a focal point or something that makes it pretty on the back, I don't really feel the need to decorate the back, even though it's visible as it's moved around within the book. It's just different from the front. They both don't need to be decked out in 3D. So for me, doesn't mean I don't like them when they are, but it's faster if I don't decorate front and back. And in the interest of trying to use lots of scraps and get lots of these batch made, I can knock that out by making sure it has something fun to look at on the back. And then the front as well, but something I want to work with. Let's see, I'm going to round these corners while I'm here. You could even batch make a whole bunch like this, have them ready to go. And then when you're working on a project, just go through and pick the bases and decorate them then. Put the focal points on then. I kind of like, when I'm doing them, I kind of like to do more than one, do a whole bunch at a time. And if I get out, you know, things that are going to be decorations, then again, it just seems easier for me to do multiples at one time. Here's a cool piece of paper, silver, and it's embossed. The silver would be really pretty with the purple clouds. It would be. See, we don't need. What if we did go all the way? What if we did go all the way edge to edge? How wide is this one? Doesn't have to cover it edge to edge, but what if it did? That is a little over 1.5 inches. Don't have to be exact. If it's a little shy, that's okay. And if it's a little more, we can trim it up. This is handmade paper. It is embossed, so it doesn't cut as easily. It's very, well, you know what handmade cotton paper is like. It's like that. Okay. So that is pretty with the purple showing through on the bottom. Okay, so if we go about there, then we'll just cut that off. That's the one. I think it was. Or was it this one? Not paying that close of attention to where I set it down. They're probably almost exactly the same, so probably doesn't matter which one because it'll work on both. Oh, I think I wish I had cut these corners, but I didn't. And now I don't want to get glue in my corner rounder. And I'm thinking it was the other one. Yep. Closer to the exact size. Okay, that's a pretty thick piece of paper. It's handmade cotton paper. So that's pretty thick. Probably thicker than I would normally use for that top piece. Again, thinner paper, scrapbook paper is much easier. It's just more flexible. And we'll go down around and mold around that paper clip a little easier. But it will work. Just be patient with the thicker paper. It will work. Give it time to soften up with the glue and mold around it as you press it. And it'll work just fine. Now, because I went all the way to the edge, let me make sure that I didn't actually glue the paper clip together. If I don't go all the way to the edge, I don't have to worry about that. But if it squeezes out to the edge and glues, there we go. Okay, that'll be pretty. Silver embossed either side. I think I like that one for the front. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. This one, maybe something right down here in the middle of the Kentucky Derby. That long enough to fold in half and go over the paper clip. I think it is. It is. It doesn't have to be super long. Okay. Actually, let me see if I can really square that up. This one looks like it would make a cool jacket style, meaning cover the entire thing left to right. And I like that curve. I was going to straighten it out, but I like that curve right there. So I am going to grab a pencil. I'm going to just put a mark on the edge of that and hope that I get that right on. If it's slightly larger, it's okay. I can trim that off afterwards. If it's smaller, I can't. Perfect. A little bit larger, and I can trim that off after I get this on. So I am going to go ahead then and glue the one side. And there's a reason to only do one side at a time on this one. I'm going to glue that side down. Okay. I don't have any glue on the top, but I've got glue on the back. I'm going to get the whole back side. I didn't go all the way to the edge, and I didn't know exactly where it was going to end up being cut off, and so there may not be enough glue on the back, but there at least is a good starting point. Okay, so that keeps wanting to fold that way. Let me make sure it's going this direction. Okay, and the reason I only put glue on the back side was so that I could see it to clip that. I trim that up there. So now I can put some glue on the front side. And glue that down. Keeps wanting to go left, so let's make sure it, or go right, whichever, depends which direction you're looking at it. And once I glue that on, I can flip that over, and then I can see to cut this off. I like that curve, and I like that that's not even, it's not even a perfect, what do you call it? It's not an equal curve. Like, it's not intended to just be a perfect curve from left to right. It's obviously a scrap of paper that was curved, and that's the way it is. I like that. It adds a little bit of character and texture, dimension to it without even having to do anything else. So, you know, this, you probably could just leave it like that if you want a flat paper clip that doesn't have a bunch of stuff sticking up out of the way. Ink the edges if you want, or don't. I'll probably ink the top where the paper starts to crack a little bit. I'll put a little bit of glue up there. Get that paper down. And then if you have any white spots after that glue is dried, that's white spot there because of the rose, but not that. But if you have white paper exposed and you don't like it afterwards, wait till that glue dries, and then you can just ink it with a blending brush. So I don't think I'll even need to on that one because that little piece of paper went right down, stuck with the glue. Okay, I like that. I like that shape, the shape on it. So let's see how we're doing on time. We're okay. We got just a few more minutes, so we'll get a couple more in here. Let's see what we can do with this striped one that looks like, excuse me, it looks like a fence with snow piled up. Grab something to drink here. Does look like a fence with snow piled up. We might cover it. Who knows? Oh, that actually could be really pretty on that. Even just plain music paper would be really pretty on that. When I see that little bit right there. What else have we got in here? That's that would be nice contrast right there. Fresh eggs and milk. sign. That would be cool. Maybe I'll do that. Cut that shy of that second plank. And then want it to be about that long, so I'll fold it. That's where it'll fold. You can trim the back off to meet the front. I will round the corners. Again, you don't have to round the corners. You can do a decorative punch. You can do anything you want. If they're going to get covered up, then maybe there's no use in rounding them. I think I'd like to leave some of this exposed because I do like that little the fresh eggs and milk that were painted on that fence. Okay. I like that this will go in nice and flat. I do want to try to get it centered. There we go. That is good and centered. So I'll just hold that in place. Put some glue on that crease. And up and around. A little extra glue around the paper clip if you want. Once I know that that's holding and secure, then I will flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. You don't have to glue both sides at the same time if you don't want. You can do one and then the other. The other side of that paper was cute too. I just liked the color of this fence against the stripes. Maybe I should decorate this side and let that side be the back side with that cute little fresh eggs and milk painted on the fence. Either way. Okay. So we're going to do some more jump starts on different ways to use scraps. This is just one way to use scraps that can get you a whole bunch of things in your stash to use in your journals and get rid of a whole lot of scraps fairly quickly. This one would make a good base. It's kind of short, but it would make a good paper clip base. So I'm just going to cut that before I put it back in the stack and fold it in half and turn it into a whole nother base. That's what we're doing, batch making, so just as well. I've got one in my hand. Even just making a whole bunch of these, having them on hand, ready to cover and then decorate as you choose, is kind of nice. I'll tell you, I really enjoy when I'm making a journal. I enjoy being able to flip through 30, 40, 50 paper clips and find the ones that will work just right. I like that. Especially, have you ever felt like I'd really like to make a journal, but I would need it really quickly and I don't have time to do that because it isn't a quick process at all? You can by having things like this batch made. If I take time to make everything from scratch at the time that I'm making that journal, then no, there is nothing quick about it. And I can't whip out a journal, even in a week with schedules of other things. Even a week is a tough period of time to whip out a good journal. But if you have a lot of things batch made that you can just draw from, maybe add a few embellishments, or maybe not. Maybe you've got so many that are all different designs, all different colors, all different styles. So you can pick and choose whatever you want. Maybe you just grab them and use them. Grabbing and using them makes for a really quick journal because it's not the putting the pages together, the signatures together and gluing them in that takes the time. Gluing them in or sewing them in. That's not what takes the time. It's the decorating of the journal that takes the time. I didn't mean to do that over the top of that one. There we go. Let's get this one. And if you know what particular styles or types of journals you have coming up, you can coordinate these to be of style or theme or colors to match what you know you're going to be making in the future. If you know that you like to make a certain type of journal, and most of your journals are that type, you can also do that and have ready to go what you're actually going to use. So it's not impossible to batch make and have things that you already know you're going to use. It's not a random look of the draw. You can actually coordinate that. All right, we are approaching 1 hour, and we are going to end this live at 1 hour. And we have batch made a bunch of these. And as I mentioned, if you are new here, please come join us in the Happy Paper People Facebook group. It's a safe place to post your creations and get some awesome comments and from friends there. And also it's a safe place to ask questions and to share your knowledge and information. There's always somebody who's learning and asking, and there's always somebody who has experienced or done something and can share it. So that's what we love about it, is everybody starts somewhere, and we all did. And we all remember the first time we asked a question that we thought, this is probably a stupid question, but I don't know it and I need to know it. And depending whether you had a good experience with that question or a bad experience in whatever group it was that you posted the question, that can affect you for a very long time in your desire to participate or to post. I hear stories about that a lot. So I would encourage you to come check out Happy Paper People Facebook group. It is a place where you can post things in a safe environment. That's why we keep it a private group. And also your ideas and creations are not only welcome, but encouraged. We really do like to see creations from all different kinds of crafters and artists. We have everybody from junk journalers and mixed media to quilters and card makers and sewers and scrapbookers. Just about everything that you can think of, we have people who do it. And I really honestly believe that we can take inspiration from everywhere around us. So by seeing somebody's designs on a quilt, it can give you ideas for making a card or a junk journal page or mixed media project, gel printing, all those kinds of things. And so we love to not get stuck in the same vein, doing the same thing only and looking only at the same thing. We love to see new ideas and everybody's crafts and art, no matter what format or venue you're doing them in. So please know that and join us there. If you are a longtime member of Happy Paper People, I want to thank you again also for coming to Monday Jumpstart and participating. Monday Jumpstart is so much fun because we get a lot of input from a lot of people. And then when we go post in the group, we get to see everybody's ideas and the things that you do. I present an idea here, and this is a way to make altered paper clips, hidden paper clips. And then I'll look forward to seeing in the group if you have different ways of making hidden paper clips that you really like. There's lots of different ways. So what I'm looking for is your version of this. If you go make some of these with your scraps, and then if you have a different way that is your favorite way, post that and tell us why it is your favorite way so that we can try that as well. And then maybe we'll end up doing a Monday Jumpstart to show everyone how to make that too. Make it that way. But there's just a lot of different ways to do hidden paper clips. I really like that. That's the back of the same paper, so of course it coordinates. So let's glue that one on. And while I do that, I will say thank you again for being here. And cannot forget, this coming Thursday, May 15th, is the retreat sale. We typically do this sale live from retreat, but again, with internet problems and lots of things we had going on, we just weren't able to do it from live from retreat. So I have all those things here ready to go. There have been some pictures posted of some of the things that you'll see. There are a lot of things that have not been posted in pictures. Some really cool things that Happy Paper People individuals have made and contributed to this sale. The vast majority of the things from this sale are handmade items, which is really cool. Some really great projects, and you'll see there's some things that we've never had before. There are some things that are not handmade that are also really cool because they are things that we love to use in our creations, such as the cigar boxes. There are 7 cigar boxes that have been loaded with lace, some old vintage, some antique lace, embellishments, not embellishments, all lace appliques, things like that. I can show you one of the pieces. This piece is antique, and there is a piece like this in every single cigar box. So there are old antique things. There are some new lace and applique pieces, but each cigar box is loaded full. They're all wooden cigar boxes. So they're very cool and are going to be a lot of fun. We have 3 different price points on those. So if that sounds like a fun way to store some beautiful cigar box, to store some of your supplies, and also to get some lace, some vintage lace, some new lace, and appliques, come check that out. Lots of different things to see, and that will be Thursday the 15th. I believe it's already scheduled, so you'll see it in YouTube. I believe it's already scheduled for 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So I hope you'll join us there, 4 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday, and then join us in the Facebook group so we can revel in your creations as well. So we'll see you real soon. Bye for now.